Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Time Around with Guildmaster Gaming. Today I have Ryan Nielsen, who is the writer, director, probably producer, probably did a lot of things because it is a short film, Pretty as a Picture. So, Ryan, please tell us about yourself and about your film.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. Like you said, my name is Ryan Nielsen. I'm a filmmaker currently living in Los Angeles, California. I was born and raised in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Moved out here a few years ago after I graduated from school. And Pretty as a Picture is a short film that we just made last year. It's my first short, and it's a kind of like a surrealist horror short about a young model who finds herself as the focus of a kind of mysterious photographer who's has some unusual methods to get what he feels is the perfect image. And uh, it's kind of about how far she's willing to go along with his demands.
Okay. I get the feeling that some of the inspiration might be more about the industry in general. Uh, is that the case, or is this more of a personal story for you?
It's not, no, it's not a personal story for me. The industry stuff came kind of like later through like writing. It mostly came out of just like an image I had had. I really loved the short The Big Shave, which was one of like Martin Scorsese's early shorts, in which a guy just kind of stands in front of a mirror and continually shaves himself, and then he's like bleeding everywhere, and just kind of that the simplicity of that I kind of liked. And I had the idea, or just kind of like an image of a photographer photographing a young woman, and then just with like each successive flash, her life was kind of slowly drained away from her. And then through the writing of it, I began to see like ties of the industry and started to include that. And then yeah, then it kind of like fully took shape later on.
So you mentioned Scorsese's film as an influence. Were there other influences that you kind of drew upon for Pretty as a Picture?
Yeah, that one for sure. Also, like some of the boxing sequences from Raging Bull, we tried to like use that in the editing of it kind of later on when the film becomes a little bit more heavier, a little bit more quicker pace, like a little bit more surreal. That was an influence as well. Suspiria, not the original one, but actually the 2018 version. We used that one kind of. It was something that didn't actually get into the final product, but it was like it was involved like kind of a twisting of the body, something we had tried to do on the day of the shoot, but we're kind of unable to get. We got some shots of it, but it just didn't quite find its way into the final edit of the film. Um, Other than that, Black Swan, I think we talked about briefly, but I think that's about it. I think for the references.
Okay. So that's some good stuff. So we've got your inspiration for it and everything. Now, kind of looking at this one, it's pretty encapsulated as a film unto itself. Um,
Mhm.
are there plans of trying to make something more out of this?
Um, Not really. There is something a friend and I who produced this together. We've talked about a different project that would be a feature which involves a photographer, but it's a little bit different. It's more kind of like the conversation oriented, kind of more of a political kind of thriller that involves a photographer, kind of like a little bit more maybe like blowout or blow up. Um, but we haven't really talked much about how to expand this one in particular, but it'd be fun to think about.
Because now that you mentioned it,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So kind of going along with this one, whereabouts are you in your festival run?
Towards the end, actually. So there's Film Quest is one of our last ones. We're also playing at the We Make Movies Festival in Los Angeles 2 weekends after that. But this is about the end. We started last December at Dances with Films in New York, and I've played several since then: Beverly Hills, Catalina, DC shorts, a few others, and then yeah, so we're wrapping up at the end right now.
Okay, so it sounds like you had a pretty good run with the festivals there. Uh,
Yep.
so are you looking at anything as type of distribution or from?
Yeah, I mean we're pretty much open to whatever. We're in contact with someone who wanted to make an anthology horror film and just include a bunch of different little shorts. I don't know where that is right now or if that's actually going anywhere. So we're looking for any kind of distribution opportunities that we can get.
Okay,
Yeah.
if it
Yep.
doesn't come up, are you got plans of releasing this on your own someplace?
Yeah, we'd probably, if not, we'll probably release it onto YouTube and Vimeo. Probably just put it up on a few other places.
Yeah, I was just
But
thinking because with it being at the end of the run, it's kind of hard for people to maybe get out and see it. So this will give them a chance to still get out.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we'll probably put it online in the next few weeks would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So besides what we were talking about with this film directly, what are some other projects you've got working on that you can kind of talk about and share about?
Yeah, so right now, my friend and I, my producing partner who I mentioned earlier, we the last kind of 6 months to a year, we've been mostly focused on making shorts that we can kind of do ourselves, ones that we don't have to raise money for, which is one of the hardest parts of making it, a film. And so we've been doing just a lot of small shorts that are just on the side with just people we know, actors we know, and just kind of seeing what we can do by ourselves without necessarily having to hire people, which has been great because it's a really good learning experience of you really get to be hands-on in every kind of department. But yeah, we've had a number of shorts that we've made, which are like we're kind of slowly releasing on my website, ryanjnielsen.com, and then we'll also be putting those on YouTube. And then apart from that, uh, just started writing a new short, which is going to be probably like a larger one, larger in the terms that it'll need an actual budget and have to raise some money for it. But that one is probably going to be shot back in Iowa, and it involves two estranged brothers who return home to bury their father in the 1920s, and kind of the rising tensions that have been buried for years that kind of start to materialize in their time in their weekend that they spend at this house together. But yeah, that's basically what we're working on right now. Otherwise, just writing various things like, little features I picked up here and there and kind of set down for a while. So that's what I've been working on.
Okay. So we talked about your inspirations for this film,
Mhm.
but as a filmmaker in general, as a storyteller in general, what has been some of your inspirations growing up?
Um, when I was young, I was really into slasher films, probably from an age that was too young to be into slasher films. I remember a story I tell often, but in kindergarten, kids would dress up for Halloween for class, and I would come dressed in whatever. I think that year I came in like Ghostface from Scream, but it had a pump, like blood came through it, and other kids were dressed up as like baseball players and princesses, but I decided to come as that. But I think that was due to I have older siblings, so I was introduced to rated R content and slasher films from a young age. And I was really into that. I was really into Terminator 2. I was in love with Terminator 2 as a kid. And slowly, I guess, over the years, I began to branch out from more like action horror stuff into kind of non-genre films. And it wasn't really until college, though, that I like actually really dove deep into kind of film history and stuff. I took a course my freshman year and began to learn about a lot more about films. And then I would say in recent years, some of the people that really influenced me are Todd Field. his early films, especially In the Bedroom, had a really big impact on me and kind of the stories I want to tell, which are far different from Pretty as a Picture, which is like, much more of a genre piece. But he, in his earlier films, In the Bedroom and Little Children, he covers kind of this middle class America that I grew up with, kind of in Iowa. And he has a way of making thrilling stories out of something that could be very mundane. And that's something that really inspired me to kind of take personal relationships and try and make them as thrilling as possible. So that's kind of what's inspired me most recently, I would say.
Okay. So it sounds like even though you do horror, it's not your mainstay.
No, it's not. I do like it a lot, and I think it really benefits like short form content, especially that and comedy. And so a lot of times when my ideas for shorts are usually like, more genre specific, usually horror. But I usually when I'm writing something longer form, it's typically not, it's usually more of, I guess, thriller or suspense, you could say, but it's usually not horror specific.
Okay. So you've got we talked a little bit where you're going in the future, what you got going on, what your past was. Um, so, you know, I'm kind of we covered things very quickly here.
Oh.
You know, so let me ask you, you did mention that you have the one place where you have your films go out and you're following. Is there any other
Yeah.
social media platforms that people might be able to follow you on?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram. It's Ryan Nielsen 25. It's at Ryan Nielsen 25. Spelled exactly, I'm sure as it will be spelled, maybe the header here. And then my website which is ryanjnielsen.com. You can find some of our work there. And then a couple of my friends and I have just started releasing stuff on YouTube, which our YouTube or like handle is morons. They're usually very silly, very dumb little shorts that we kind of come up with on the fly. And but they're really fun though, if you want to go check those out. And those are kind of more of the ones that I've been talking about, where we've kind of just been making them ourselves with friends we know, using the equipment we have. But yeah, you can find me on any of those places.
Okay, so we talked about what you've done, what you're working on, kind of looking to the future. But
Mhm.
if you had a dream project of anything you could do or work on, what would your dream project be?
Oh gosh. Man. Uh my dream project is probably um a script that I have about a book club in this kind of northeastern United States library. It's about a kind of book club that is a cult, essentially. And I guess that would be my dream. It's the one I think about the most when I think about making the most, when I dream about making the most. It's kind of a mysterious, kind of Rosemary's Baby type film. Um, that I guess that's what I think of the most out of things that are things that already exist. There's no like franchise or anything I really dream of taking on. But man, if there was, I will say though, if there was more like Twilight Zone episodes, I would love to do things like that, like direct Twilight Zone episodes, or any kind of like anthology horror kind of thing would be really fun.
Seems like horror keeps drawing back in though there.
Yeah, it does. It finds a way back in. Yeah.
I find so many times, myself included, that you you don't think about it, but it seems like just keep finding out, oh, this story just took another horror twist. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
understand that. So we got
Yeah.
kind of, that would be kind of the fun thing, the book club that's a cult.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
actually have read a book that has a similar type premise.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk about that off air so we don't,
Yeah, yeah,
we don't want to steer
yeah.
people to something else. We want them steered to what
No,
we're doing.
no.
So we got what you'd like to maybe do as the big thing and everything. Uh, so as we kind of moving forward, to kind of break away from the grind of, doing all the things that involve with the job of being a filmmaker, what do you like to do to relax and kind of to get away from it?
Oh, read. I read a lot. I mean, obviously, I watch a lot of movies, but other than that, just hang out with my fiance. We like to go on trips as much as we can, and just we live in California right now, but just kind of go camping, things like that. Just get away from the city. Also just hang out with family. I have a pretty big family. She has a pretty big family as well. And we're both from Iowa. So her family has a lake house and my family has a lake house. So we like to go back and just kind of bounce between the two lakes. And yeah, I guess that's where I find kind of solace just in in family, just hanging out with family and friends.
Okay. Sounds like some good
Mhm.
stuff you've got going on. So let
Yeah.
me ask that little thing I like to throw out to everybody is if someone was to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to become a filmmaker,"
Mhm.
what advice would you give them?
Probably the advice that took me the longest to take, which was start making films. You hear that I mean, I heard that all the time. I mean, people, when I wanted to be a filmmaker, they would say, well, to be a filmmaker, I have to do is start making films. And I'd be like, okay, but how? And I mean, it's very simple. You just kind of just start doing it. Just use a friend or use whoever and write something down, edit it together. You'll see how bad it is, and then you'll make something a little bit better the next time, and then just like keep doing that. And I think that is the best way to do it because you just have to push the ball, get it rolling a little bit. And once you do, you'll start to pick up all this knowledge and stuff along the way. And you can read as many books and watch as many videos as movies as you want, but you really don't start to get a feel for it until you start to do it. And that would be my biggest advice is just start making films.
We kind of tell that to the writers I work with is you can't edit a blank page. So
That's right. Yeah.
just got to get it out there and start trying and seeing what's happening.
Yeah, and don't worry about it being bad at first. Everyone has that learning, that spot where they're figuring things out, and you'll eventually get better and better the more you do it.
All right. So
Yeah.
that's some pretty good stuff. So as we know where your film's going, where they might be able to see it. Last couple of shots here at festivals coming up.
Mhm.
But final thing is I'm going to give you a moment to any type of call out, special recognitions, anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just like to thank all the people involved in making the film, our cast and crew who were awesome. It was a really kind of tough, it was 1 day shoot. We probably were there for about 10 hours and we just had to move really, really fast. So shout out to the whole cast and crew. You know who you are. Then obviously I mentioned earlier my fiance who kind of did the craft services and everything for it. She was a lot of help along the way. She designed the poster as well. And then all of our just our donors who donated money to help make the film. It wouldn't have been possible without them. So shout out to them too.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. And everyone, thank you for joining us with this talk with Ryan about his short film, Pretty as a Picture. It's going to be showing coming up at Film Quest. And then you said one final shot also down in LA
Yep.
at that festival down there. And then after that, you can kind of probably look for it out there on YouTube. I guess, would that be coming across the Morons channel?
That will be coming across Moron's channel, as well as on my website at ryanjnielsen.com.
Okay, so check it out there and please get out there and support the independent creators, filmmakers, writers, all of us, that are doing it independently. There's a lot of great stuff coming out. If you like what we're doing here, please like this, subscribe to the channel if you want to, but share it out and get the support to these people that are doing some great storytelling. And thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.